Rick, first an open-ended question. Your quick reaction when you saw that poll. Kathy Barnett now in a virtual tie having surpassed Dave McCormick by percentage points and nipping at the heels of Dr. Oz.
A real surprise. There's no question. People that I've talked to have assumed all along that this race is a two-person race between Dr. Oz and Dave McCormick. That's certainly how it's been framed. That's what it would seem from how former President Trump attacked Dave McCormick and talked up Oz just at the rally the other day. This would be a major surprise if suddenly Kathy Barnett's part of the conversation. She's been sort of an also ran in a crowded field for a while, but has been looking to try to consolidate some support from people that may not feel like the only reason to vote would be out of loyalty to former President Trump. It's a model that really hasn't worked in any places yet, but we'll see if this is real in about a week.
And if anything, if you look at the other major shift here is that before, it was a two-horse race, but you also had a huge number of undecided voters. That's the notable change here. Am I oversimplifying things to think that the undecided voters have broken for Kathy Barnett or other people changing their minds?
It's impossible to say just based on the top lines if this is purely about undecided voters, but people's decisions are starting to gel. It's very typical in a campaign. There's a lot of noise for a long time, but the vast majority of voters don't really settle on a candidate until right before the primary. And that's why you see the advertisements. That's why you see the campaign events. Everything that's been going on has been sort of wallpaper for people. Now it's real. And when they start to settle in, you do see preferences change. And I think we saw it in the Ohio race just a week ago with a late surge that appeared to attend to the Trump endorsement. And I think what we're seeing in Pennsylvania is people making up their minds late and maybe not going the same way that we've assumed for a long time would be the direction.
Notable here, too, that these three top candidates now, not one of the three of them has ever held elected office at any level. Dave McCormick served in the administration of George W. Bush, but you've got three people who are all running for who's the most Pennsylvanian in a race where everybody's kind of accused of not being, and who's the biggest outsider, right, trying to take advantage of that. Normally, if you had three kind of tied, at least one of them would have some history in elected office.
Yeah, welcome to the new politics of 2022, where being an outsider is an unabashedly good thing. I think it has to do with the frustration people feel with both parties, frankly. I think it has to do with the way that former President Trump opened that door in the Republican Party for outsiders and has welcomed as many of them in as he can. Even when they become insiders, they cast themselves as outsiders. I think part of it has to do with the new politics of celebrity that Dr. Oz, among others in other states, are tapping into. But it is a strange new normal where all of the leading candidates can be people that don't have any experience in elected office.
And finally, Kathy Barnett, I know wouldn't mind us observing that she is African-American, an African-American woman in a party that has struggled to find diversity. I know she wouldn't mind that because she wrote a book called Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, Being Black and Conservative in America. Thoughts on that, on Republican primary voters, at least according to this Trafalgar voter, embracing her, and what that might do in terms of electability for the Republican Party come November?
There's a lot of Republicans here in Washington and around the country that feel like their future has to be with non-white males. Most of the House districts that they picked up, Republicans picked up in 2020, were either women or people of color, sometimes both. And you're seeing this up and down the office, more candidates of color being recruited to run for office as Republicans, and then being boosted inside crowded primaries. And it could be looking over at the Senate race in Georgia. Herschel Walker is the odds-on favorite for the Republican nomination in Georgia. He's, of course, Black and a former football star. So you're seeing a growing degree of diversity inside the Republican Party, at least at the elected level. It doesn't always get reflected in the voting level, and that's something Republicans have to work on longer term. But their hope is that by putting forward candidates that look more like voters that they haven't reached in the past, they can convince at least a few of them to come over to their side.
ABC News political director Rick Klein, hope we'll be able to check back with you. Appreciate your time today.
Happy to help. Thank you.